Hi, my name is Guybrush Threepwood, and I want to be a pirate. Wait, that's not true. My name's Dave. I want to be a game critic. And welcome to this episode of Post-Game Clarity. Today, we're discussing the point-and-click adventure game, The Secret of Monkey Island. Published by LucasArts in 1990, designed by Ron Gilbert, and written by Ron Gilbert, Dave Grossman, and Tim Schafer, we play Guybrush Threepwood as he lands on Mealy Island with dreams of becoming a pirate. We help him overcome the 3 trials of pirating before chartering a voyage to the mysterious Monkey Island to rescue Governor Elaine Marley, who's been kidnapped by the fiendish ghost pirate LeChuck. Whether you're successful or not depends on talking to every weirdo you meet, picking up everything not nailed down, and using your intuition to try inventory object A on item B. Join me and my fellow co-hosts Dork and Drew Doodle as we discuss a game I played back in the 90s, what they liked, what they didn't, how they feel about the point-and-click adventure genre, and just what is the secret of Monkey Island anyway.
Arrgh! Yarg, me hearties! We be on voyage into yon Monkey Island, arrgh! Arrgh! Well, I've got me cup of grog and yon t-shirt from yon forest, yar.
Did you ever ask the pirate leaders what's in grog?
I did, and I actually made the recipe, and I think that this will be the final recording I ever do.
Oh no.
I mean, it didn't sound that much different from, Coca-Cola or something.
Well, Coca-Cola usually takes longer to eat through mugs.
Usually.
True.
So,
a little bit longer, yeah.
Welcome to Post-Game Clarity, folks. This is my pick for this episode. As I said in the intro, this is a game I played back in the 90s, and I grew up with the point-and-click adventure genre, actually starting with the text parser adventure genre with Sierra Games and moving on to LucasArts. And despite the many flaws of the genre, I have a fondness and a love for these old games. So I chose Monkey Island because I think it is one of the pinnacles of the genre. It's kind of similar to why I picked Chrono Trigger back for our first episode. I wanted to introduce Dork and Drew to this genre with the least friction possible. So now, am I right in thinking both of you have never played a point-and-click adventure game before this?
I feel like I had to have tried. Maybe, back when I was a kid, maybe I did the Goosebumps one. I'm not sure if that was a point-and-click adventure game, but I haven't played through one and, remembered it. This is the first one. I'm like, here we go. So, yeah, you're right with that.
It's kind of, I think I wouldn't necessarily say, I played a lot of, edutainment point-and-click adventure games, Reader Rabbit had this series back in the late 90s and early 2000s called the Math Busters or the Math Squad or Math Ventures or something, where it's you'd play as these little Indiana Jones kids and then they go on math adventures and do Scooby-Doo shit. And so those are point and click adventures that are purely based around running into people that ask you to do math stuff.
Yeah, I played a lot of edutainment in the late 80s, early 90s. Funny enough, I forget the series he worked on, but after Monkey Island 2, Ron Gilbert left LucasArts, and I believe he spent most of the rest of the 90s and the 2000s making point-and-click games for kids, very much in the in the vein of those putt-putt games.
Oh, sure. Yeah, and then I guess those count too, because I played quite a few hit entertainment games. I played Fatty Bear and I played the putt-putt games. Yeah, that's fucking cool. Yeah, so I played the ones made for little kids, but this one is for the adults. It's for the grown-ups.
It really is, which is funny because I first played it when I was 12 years old. So I guess some of the humor would have gone by me, but that was always this genre. It was adventure games were kind of for everyone for the longest time, which why I never really beat many of them because I would always get stuck on a puzzle and, the internet wasn't an available resource. You had to either phone a hint line or buy a hint book. And even then, this game came out in 1990 and kind of was was kind of a revolution before this. It was very easy to die in adventure games or to get softlocked. Like, if you needed a certain key for the end of the game, you could accidentally throw it away at the start of the game, and then you get to the end of the game and you find out you couldn't continue. There were many puzzles like that in most of these games, which kind of added to their frustration factor and why I never beat many of them. But this one is, the puzzles are, I would say, fair for the most part. I think the game is very funny. And there's only one way you can die, I believe. And I don't think there's any soft locking, but Drew, you might have a story that goes against that idea.
I think it's debatable if I'm actually right that it was a soft lock, but it definitely made me run in circles quite a bit and frustrated me a little bit. But yeah, we'll get to that later.
So like my first...
I wanted to ask Dave, so what was the time? Because I feel like I may have gotten the time where you died. I don't remember what it was, though.
Okay, so when the sheriff throws Guybrush in the water, if you take longer, because Guybrush Threepwood, his only talent at the start of the game is that he can hold his breath for 10 minutes. If you take longer than 10 minutes in the water, he will become a bloated corpse. The verbalist changes. There's a big button that says call the hint line.
Oh my god.
This game is so funny, dude. Oh my god. Okay, we'll totally get to that part later on then.
But so after asking, whether you've played one of these games, I wanted to ask what you thought of the gameplay of this point-and-click adventure game.
Oh, terrible. Just terrible. I hate the game. See, okay, here's my big take for this game, right? I love this game because it's so funny. I really like all the voice acting for the special edition, and all the music is pretty good too. The visuals are a bit hit and miss, but we'll kind of get to that later on. But I really like the content in this game. I just hate interacting with the game so much.
I actually, Dork, I kind of agree with you, but I think that there is, clearly it's an early PC games. They were probably still figuring that stuff out, and then the special edition has to carry all of that with it. So in my mind, there are things that I would change, which I'm sure we can get into in a second after, Dave says whatever his piece is or prods more discussion. But in my mind, there's a far more streamlined version of this game than the version that exists currently. But I didn't mind the actual loop of just walking around, exploring, talking to people, choosing options, poking around in my inventory, experimenting with stuff. I don't mind all of that on the face of it, but the verb system and inventory are very clunky and not very fun to deal with.
I have to wonder if because I'm pretty sure you and I have the same ideal version of this game in our heads, and if we want to talk about it right now we could, but I almost wonder if I would have had a different opinion if it was that game, because using items in the right place as an idea, I obviously don't hate it. I really like Resident Evil, and that's a thing you do in that game. But for some reason, I just dreaded every single time. You can use the H key in this version and get a hint. And then, once I saw, what I was supposed to do after I was stuck for a while, I'm like, oh, okay, sorry, I didn't try that, I guess. It just got me frustrated. And it's I guess I'll freaking press I and press V, then press, give and then press V. It's just, I hate using the keyboard controls so much.
Yeah, that's my main thing, is that in my mind, the ideal version of this game would not make you press keys on the keyboard, and
100%.
You would be able to access both verb menu and either you can just get rid of the fucking verb menu altogether, because when you hover your cursor over everything, it tells you how to interact with it anyway, so you could just scrub that easily. Either that, or down in the bottom corner, you have a little tab that you can just click on with your mouse cursor to open either the verb menu or the inventory or both, and just mess around with it directly with the mouse key from there. Because having to reach over or reach up when I'm just using the mouse 90% of the time and hit keys was really what started irritating me over the course of the game. I was like, why do I got to do all this when I could just click on things?
So I'll also say that I think it could just be even easier. Just what the original version was, just put the verb menu. I wouldn't mind if it's on screen the whole time, and I'll just click on it. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I will say, I don't think you could completely remove it, because there were times where you had to push and pull. There were times where you had to look, and the default action was grab. So there are a few things that wouldn't completely work with it. And also the other thing was, because as you were saying in our Discord chat, that adventure game players know to grab everything that it isn't nailed down. That did not at all vibe with me, and it was even worse, because to grab things I'd have to press V, then grab, then the object. So it was not a very, because you know how in every other game where you're a third person camera, you can just grab things, X button, there you go, it's easy. It's almost it's effortless. And this one, it takes a lot of effort, comparatively to what you're doing just walking around. So I wouldn't want to grab everything. I wouldn't want to test everything that could be grabbed, because it was just an extra hassle.
So for viewers that are not familiar, we played the special edition of the game that was released in 2008. So they created a game with new art. They gave better music, voice acting, but there's also a new user interface. The original game has all the verbs at the bottom of the screen along with the inventory, and you basically use your mouse to, click pick up and then click on the thing, and it will happen. And usually if you highlight something, you can right click to use what it recommends is the preferred verb. So if you mouse over a door, left click will look at the door, but right click will open the door, because that's the most obvious verb to use. This is actually why on Mealy Island, it was the grog puzzle specifically, but I would favor using the old version just because I found it a lot easier to interface with the game. I didn't have to use the keyboard. I didn't have to press I to go to the inventory. And then having to press other buttons to look and use things in the inventory, I found it awful. So for me, I pretty much played the entirety of the game, because in this version of the game, you can press F10 and go back to the way the game used to look. Sadly, you can't play the old one with the voice acting, which I would have loved. But I think it was mainly the UI. And also, I didn't like the art of the new one, but it was just so much easier to interface with the game with that old style.
So that actually, now that you've explained all of that, that actually low-key makes me think about the special editions gameplay a little bit lower even. Dang, that's fucking insane, because everything I was just talking about basically already exists.
And to piggyback off what you wanted the game to be, Drew, is that the things you were saying were part of the evolution of the adventure game after Monkey Island. I guess maybe I need to go into a little bit of history here, but the adventure game started with text adventures where you would, type go north, and there would be a paragraph, and then it'd be there's a key on the table. So you type in get key, and maybe it would go, we don't understand get. So you would have to type pick up key. And then they added graphics and animation. That was the Sierra School, where you would walk around these landscapes, and then you would have to pick up items or look at things. And what LucasArts did was they actually ground down the verbs, because you didn't know what the game would allow you to do with a text parser. You had to experiment. So they're we're just going to put all the verbs on screen, and then you can use them yourselves, even though most of them are useless. And then as the genre, Monkey Island 3 uses a coin system. If you click over anything, a coin will come up, and you can look at it, you can pick it up, or you can use it. And the inventory is the same way. And pretty much around the late 2000s, which is when the special edition came out, adventure games that were still being made went down to a 2-button system, where you right click on something to look at it, and then you left click on it to interact with it. So throughout time, they've been streamlining, the way you interact with these worlds. And it's just so baffling that in 2008, this special edition is so convoluted and bad.
Yeah,
that's
especially
crazy,
because it's more convoluted than the original, even in terms of layout.
Well, I would say I don't hate the idea of having all these verbs, but the problem, because I actually really enjoy the idea of that, but the problem is my idea of it did not meet the execution of what they were going for. Because I told Dave immediately when I first quasi tried the game in like my 10-minute session where I had to go get the baby afterwards. The first thing I did was, I have like a pull action. I'm gonna pull the poster off the wall that I see. And then it's like, oh, it doesn't work. I'm like, well, what the fuck? This game sucks. Like, I was literally like, I thought the point of all the verbs was like, oh, like experiment, and you might like see some like fun interactions or something. And that kind of exists, but it's more with the items itself. It isn't like, here's a poster. Or, oh my god, guys, I'm sorry. Why the fuck couldn't I use that goddamn stapler anywhere? I was obsessed with that stapler. There's what did he say? Like, there's no stapler.
There's no staples to remove.
Yeah, he said that every single time, and I'm like, bruh, please.
I have an answer, and you're not gonna like it.
Oh, I want to guess. Okay. I'm guessing one of two things. One, there is a small thing I could have seen and I missed it, which I don't think it is, but I also want to just say it, so I'm right anyway. Or two, because it was involved in that crazy, there's a whole bunch of stuff being used behind the scenes, and it's like a poking fun at other adventure games with useless items.
Well, you're partially right on the second one. And this makes a joke I want to talk about later even funnier, because adventure games are always full of red herrings when it comes to inventory objects. A lot of adventure games, you do not use, I'd say maybe 5 to 10% of what you pick up. Basically, it's that idea, everyone's going to pick up everything, but let's let them think about what might be used in a certain situation. And maybe we'll have stuff that makes sense to be picked up, or it has a very specific use, because a lot of adventure games will have multiple ways to solve puzzles. But yeah, this seemed like it. I can't remember if there is a use for the stapler, but I think it's also like the memos. You pick them up, but there's no reason to pick them up. They're just there as extra. Or, it could be referencing the idea of a red herring, which again is a joke in the game. So
I do have some thoughts on this. One, what it's essentially doing is it's introducing a lot of noise. So like there's obviously like a signal, and then there's all the wrong answers. And when you put it that way, I kind of like that. It's like, I wonder which one it is. The problem is, though, was the clunky UI. So like it kind of made it annoying to try everything, right? Because, oh my god, in fact, it was like, Drew, how awful was it when you were trying a bunch of different stuff and you had to keep opening the fucking menu and keep hitting the verb use and keep... Oh, my God.
Ugh. I did not enjoy doing that at all.
In fact,
I did not.
Yeah, I'd almost say, like, Dave probably didn't even get to see that because he knew all the solutions. So when
most of them.
When, like, me and Drew were trying to trial and error, through stuff, oh, my God. Just, like, it was so clunky. So I almost wonder... It's like two things. That probably held it back for me because I can appreciate the idea of excess noise, but I also wonder if it would have became too trial and error-y, because eventually, if it's trial and error the whole time, then it's like, I suppose that makes sense in retrospect. I guess I'm dumb. Okay. Well, I don't know. It isn't a great feeling.
Yeah, what I was going to say is eventually when I ended up using the hint button, it was just because I was so fucking tired of the UI and the trial and error. So it's almost like the game fucking emotionally abuses you into hitting the hit button.
I just want to say, like, in terms of what you said, Dork, the trial and error, yes, that is a huge part of the adventure game experience. When you are stuck in an old school adventure game, especially before you could easily access a walkthrough, the only way to progress sometimes was to go around to like every screen and use every inventory object on every thing in the world to try and brute force a solution because you had no idea what to do next. That actually happened. One of my memories. So in grade 12, I think it was 94. Sorry, in grade 7, I was 12. It was 1994. I was a couple friends at school were playing through Monkey Island. And they came over to my house, installed the game, and helped me through to Chapter 3, Monkey Island. They kind of rushed me because they wanted help getting through. And they were stuck on Monkey Island. And the place they were stuck in was actually, they didn't know how to get the river to fill up the dry riverbed. And neither did I. I don't know whether I just never saw the word damn, so it didn't make sense. But basically, one day after school, I was loading up the game to just futz around. And I randomly, was trying things on things because there was that rock wall. And I'm like, I put the gunpowder on the dam and it worked. And suddenly I phoned both of them up after school. I'm like, I found it. I found a solution.
That's awesome.
But my memories of playing adventure games all through my childhood and adolescence were pretty much, you get stuck and then you just have to either walk around and try things till you brute force the solution, or maybe you find a piece of dialogue, or maybe your brain just finally kicks into gear with an idea. And it can be highly frustrating. It means it can take 6 months to a year to beat a game that really can be done in an hour or so. But yeah, and I will say, I don't think this is good gameplay, but it's part of the design.
That's really interesting because, as you were saying, like, this special edition came out in 2008, right?
Yeah.
So they had tons, a whole like decade and a half of all this knowledge of what works and what doesn't. And it almost feels like they used the hint button as a crutch then. Yeah. Because, again, it's just clunkier to do trial and error because of how you access the menus. And if that hint thing wasn't there, I feel like, like Drew and I would have been either asking you more things, or we would have looked up more things because, also, screw the hints. I don't know, just, I always felt so annoyed. I felt so annoyed with the game because every time I decided to click on a hint, it would try to do like the small like teaspoon. Oh, well, what if blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's not good enough, you shit. And I press it again. Well, what if not good enough, damn it. And then it's like, fine, here's an arrow. Here's what you got to do. Go fucking do it. I'm like, oh, piss off. I was so annoyed with it. I don't want that much, but I don't want that little.
Right.
I agree.
I kind of liked how it doled out the hints, because usually the first level, the hint was enough to point me in the right direction. I guess because I have beaten the game multiple times, so when I forgot
played the game, you fucking elitist scum. Like, what are you?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, this was years ago, and it's a puzzle game. So while I remembered a lot of solutions, there were some that I completely forgot how they worked. But then the hint would kind of nudge me, and I'd go, "Oh, that makes sense." Probably the only one I really got mad at was late in the game. You have to get an object off the wall in LeChuck's cabin, and
fucking compass.
Yeah, well, it's like use the magnetic compass, and look, it's a perfectly logical solution to a puzzle, but
it is.
I've had that compass in my inventory for a long time. I never actually looked at it, so the idea that it was magnetic never entered my mind. And even if it had, it's like, how long ago did I get this? Am I going to remember that but that's part of it as well. When you're stuck, you go through your inventory, you look at everything, you go, what can I do? I think, I've often said that my favorite type of puzzle game is one where I can play around while I'm trying to get my brain to work out a solution. And that might have come from playing adventure games, because when you're stuck, if you're not, unless you step away from the game, all you're doing is kind of walking around to locations, trying things on things. You are kind of playing around to try and force your brain into place to come up with what you need to do to progress.
Yeah, like that like magnetic one. Again, yeah, it does make sense, but at the same time, like you said, it's just like, oh, I almost wonder if we could critique the hint itself, because I think if it would have just said, do you have anything magnetic in your inventory? I think that would have been good, but it didn't. It's just like, use your magnetic compass, you dumbass. I'm like, what?
Yeah, they should have been like, yeah, do you have something with a magnet in it? Because they hint at it, because Stan is like, oh, here's this compass, and the magnet in it is so strong it always points to Stan's used garbage barge.
Oh yeah,
or whatever the fuck it's called. So they do hint at it like in the actual story. So they could have like given you a little reminder, but I think it's also the problem is that like, yeah, it's been sitting there for like an entire chunk of the game without you using it, so you're just gonna forget that it's there.
Yeah.
I also have okay, so I also think that the logic behind a lot of this stuff, at least to me, because I'm not into adventure games, I'm not immersed in that you have to give yourself up to the crazy logic of these games. I totally get that, but I think because of that, I really would not. So I remember being in that room, and I remember trying to walk to the key, and he kept going, "What's over there? What's over there?" You know, he kept like cutting you off, and I knew I had to get the key. But to me, you know, I did not ever think, "Oh, I'm in the room. I have the stuff I need." I was thinking, I got to get like a distraction. I wonder if I have to explode like the other half of the ship or something. So he leaves the room. I never even thought I can get the key now. And actually, the first thing I thought of in like that like same kind of like geographic locate. What am I talking about? Like, in that whole like thought process, the only thing that came to mind was the fucking banana picker. I was thinking I should get the banana picker if anything. I never even thought about the compass. But again, like we said, perhaps I should have looked in my inventory better.
Well, yeah. It's you talk about, you know, getting into the logic of the game, and to be honest, compared to most adventure games, like Monkey Island is pretty logical in at least when you regard how silly this world is, because a lot of adventure games have what are called moon logic puzzles, where the only way you could actually understand how to solve this on your own is to be in the mind of the person who wrote the puzzle. And even then, it's a stretch. Yeah, the genre is full of these. And sometimes they're there because they ran out of money and they had to like change things on the fly. So it's just a bad puzzle because they didn't have time to make a good one. But a lot of the time, it's like, no, this thing that is completely ridiculous made perfect sense when we were making it.
Well, the thing with Monkey Island is that it does, from my perspective as a first timer, it does kind of have those get into the head of the developers type puzzles. But it's not even necessarily the design, get into the head of the designer. It's get into the head of the writers. It's get into the writer's room with these guys and try to figure out what the punchline is. And that's why, like, I think solving a lot of the puzzles could be a little bit confusing without the hint system and a little bit frustrating. But fortunately, because you're trying to figure out what the punchline is, that means that like you get a really fucking funny joke whenever you do solve it. So I didn't mind. So I didn't mind the outcome most of the time because I'm like, oh yeah, that does kind of make sense. Or like, yeah, that is really fucking funny. So it works in that way. Like the game has enough charm that even if the gameplay was a little bit annoying, I like still came out the other side being like, oh yeah, this is like really cool.
Well, now that you've said that you thought of a lot of the puzzles, like what is the punchline? I want to ask you if both of you, if you had a favorite puzzle in the game.
Let me look at my notes real quick here.
Yes,
there's a lot of them that I really like.
If we can count the entire like sword fighting thing, that was so good. Like, you know, it's really funny, and this could just like speak to how games are these days, because I think you specifically said, yes, grinding for insults. But I won't lie, that section is the only time in the game where it felt like I was playing a video game. Where I was like, I know this. I'm gonna like build up my character and learn, you know, like stuff that's gonna help me in the game. And it was so fun. Honestly, it was like the coolest part about the whole thing. So anyone who hasn't played the game, the whole idea is that when you like fight someone in this game, you basically just like trade insults at each other, and you're supposed to go fight a bunch of pirates to learn, like, you know, all the comebacks to the insults. Otherwise, you'll get like defeated in battle. So you're supposed to go fight a bunch of pirates on the trail. And I really thought it would be like here's like 4 insults and like 4 comebacks and that's that. And you would just like match them with the Swordmaster and that's it. Dude, there's like 12. It just kept going on. And I think that's what made it funnier. You know how when something kind of kooky like starts out like, okay, this is okay, whatever. But it gets funnier because it keeps going, and it gets even funnier because it keeps going and going. It was literally that. I kept laughing. I'm like, there's still more here.
And you know, they're pretty good insults. Some of them are kind of sillier than others, but I thought they were all pretty good.
It's honestly, I as you were saying, it's the highlight of the game. But truly, like, are there other games like? They sat down and wrote a bunch of insults and a bunch of comebacks. I don't remember other games where you can have this, I don't want to say like freedom to insult people, but really there aren't that many creative insults in other games ever. If you think about it, how often can you talk to people and insult them? Never. So like this one was just like, I've never seen this in a game before. It's so fun.
And I love it
really
because
funny.
after I beat the game in preparation for this, Ian Danskin over at Innuendo Studios made a video about like 3 short arguments about Monkey Island, and it's a wonderful little piece of game criticism. But he talks about the insult sword fighting is like, they wanted to recreate an Errol Flynn movie, but how, in an adventure game format, how do you actually do action? Well, let's not do action. Let's just remove the sword fighting element and just keep the insults that Errol Flynn would throw at his opponents. Because I will say there are adventure games, LucasArts especially, their Indiana Jones game, like Fate of Atlantis, it had fist fighting in it. You had to use the numpad to kind of box the right way, and it sucked.
Rip, that sounds kind of fun, but I will take your word for it. Oh, wait, you use the number pad? Those psychopaths! Yeah. How did they not see WASDA? It's so intuitive now.
No, this was before WASDA, man.
I know, I'm just saying, how did old devs just think, number pad is good, even though you use your fucking mouse? Yeah, because that's comfortable, having your hands, like, right next to each other, the fucking dingbats. God damn it!
No. Nobody got carpal tunnel syndrome back then. Nobody was thinking about that back in the day.
No,
those fuckers were contemptible sneaks, I tell you.
Dork has been using that line all week.
I guess that's why
I heard you were a contemptible sneak.
To that?
Too bad no one's ever heard of you at all.
Chink, chink, chink. Yeah. Oh, my sword. Yeah, I don't remember hardly any of the other ones, but I think it was like the enemy or like everyone that comes across like falls down before I even get to them. Is that because like your breath, or no? Is that before they had a smell of your breath or something? That's all. Sorry.
Well, so silly.
The classic is, of course, you fight like a dairy farmer. How appropriate! You fight like a cow.
You fight like a cow.
It's just the how appropriate I love.
I had a really good time. I had a really good time when it came to like first doing like the training with that one like sword guy, because I was telling Dave this. He was trying to teach me the whole the whole like comeback idea, and of course on the first one you don't have the comeback yet, right? So he goes, oh, like what would you say if I said you fight like a dairy farmer, and then you have a bunch of options, and I'm like, your mother, or something like that. And then I'm like, okay, that was funny. And then he's like, okay, here's the answer. Now try again. No, yeah, because you heard the answer, and then he says like another insult at you, yeah. And you have the response to the old one. You could say, how appropriate, you fight like a cow, which doesn't make any sense. But you also have the response, your mother again. So I went with your mother again. I just love the idea that Guybrush is so stupid. He's just like, chink, chink. Okay, I want to hear, okay, how about this one? And he just goes, I don't know, your mother. Like, he just thinks he's...
That's so genius. I freaking love that. Yeah, the one that I would always say is when I could not fucking think of what, or if I didn't have the comeback, I would pick the I am rubber, you are glue. I couldn't think of anything else.
And let me just say how brilliant I still think it is that you learned all the insults. Even when the pirate said, you're good enough to fight the Swordmaster, I'm like, no, I have comebacks I don't have yet. I'm going to keep going.
Well, it's because then when you go to the Swordmaster, all the beginning parts of the insults change, but you have to use all of the same responses and figure out which of those responses fits the new insult best.
It is
genius.
So clever.
That is so genius, dude. Literally genius.
And did you notice that you don't technically beat Carla? She kind of just gets tired of you and gives up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know. One. Like Drew, obviously don't know a whole lot of wrestling, but I was like, why are they trying to like protect her so much? Like, does she have like a huge feud coming up that she can't take a loss right now? Like, what's going on?
Oh, God.
But I also thought it was hilarious because I failed the first time, but her insults get like locked into your brain. So if you leave and fight the pirates, you can use her insults on the pirates, and they won't even. They're like, "Hey, you can't use that. That's a Swordmaster insult. No one can beat those." It's so funny. Because I was thinking, okay, I have her insults. Well, I don't know any of the solutions. I have to go figure them out by using them with the pirates. And they're like, no, that's cheating. You can't use those. I'm like, how the fuck do you know these insults, dude? What the fuck?
They tried.
That's so funny. My favorite thing was fucking around in the store before I figured out that I was supposed to leave the shop with the old guy and follow him to the swordmaster's cabin. I would be like, but could you please go ask her, please? And he's like,
Again.
All right, I guess I could hike all the way over there again, and don't take anything. And then I would take things, and then I would try to leave because I was like, oh, look, it's like Link's Awakening, haha. And then you would just walk in from the side of the screen and be like, what the fuck is your problem? Put those back. and then I'd be like, damn, I don't got money. And he's like, well, I'm not going to give it to you. Get out of here. I love messing around with stuff like that.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he had items in the first place. I thought it was going to be one of those games where you talk to him and you have to have a menu. So after a while, I just go, oh, I can pay for these. Cool. But I didn't know you could. I guess he was hinting at it, wasn't he? I just never even tried it.
Because if you, it's just so funny to me because you're like, oh, he walked out the door, so he's way gone because he's walking to the other side of the island, is what he says. And then you try to leave, and he literally walks in from the right side of the screen and gotchas you.
Oh, really?
So goofy. Yes, it's
that sounds
silly.
very funny. It was also kind of funny hearing the reason, because I initially was like, this is kind of dumb, but it's a video game, so he has to be okay, because you have to have him leave. I'm guessing for a future puzzle, so I guess it makes sense why you're able to make him leave over and over, but really a person would not want to go see this supposed swordmaster 20 times like I had him do. No, it makes sense actually, because when you get there, she's like, will you stop making up excuses to come see me? He's like, I'm a horny old guy.
It's funny because it's almost like the writers thought of that. It's like, no one would go trudging up to there more than once. Well, what if he's into her?
Yeah, dude, it's clever as shit, because again, I almost think me playing games 30 years at this point after that game came out, because there's a lot of games that are lazier than this, or at the very least wouldn't take that into account, because it's just, we have to make a video game that kind of functions for the player for gameplay. And this one, they wrote about it where it actually makes a little bit of sense. It's really, again, this game's really impressive in that way.
Yeah,
just all the writing,
Well, I alluded to this earlier, but my favorite puzzle is the troll on the bridge, just because of the solution. Well, kind of two parts to the solution. One part is that I didn't even notice because I already knew the solution to the puzzle, so I just gave him the fish. But if you talk to him and you ask him what he actually wants, he says something to the line of, I want something that's noticeable but not actually significant. So you give him the fish, which is a red herring, which, that's, I don't know where the term comes from, but that's, something that's supposed to distract you from the real answer.
Dude, you know what's so funny about specifically the red herring part to me is that they did the exact same joke in the fucking 22 Jump Street movie.
Oh, okay.
They're interrogating a football player because they're trying to catch a drug dealer, and they're asking a football player if he's seen this specific tattoo that the dealer was seen with, and he's like, yeah, that's the school's mascot, the red herring. It's so goofy. And
the first Tex Murphy game, Mean Streets, has a side quest where it leads to nothing, and it turns out the guy you're talking to that's supposed to give you a lead is eating lunch, but he doesn't have anything for you. What's he eating? Red herring.
A red herring. That's so silly.
Yeah. Why did he take his mask off and he was like a guy?
Oh, well, that's the second part of the joke I really like. It's a lot more noticeable in the new version, because I was still playing the new version when I did that bit. But the guy under the mask is George Lucas. Only one person has that coif, and I think it was just kind of the LucasArts employees kind of just having a slight little insult jab at their boss, just for fun.
Well, one.
George Lucas, the Star Wars guy?
Yeah, the Star Wars guy.
Yeah.
Why is he working on this stupid Pirates game? He should be working on the Phantom Menace.
Well,
wait, why was that the funniest thing you've ever said in your life? That's
What are you talking? No, honestly, I knew he worked on I am kind of curious. Like, Dave, do you have a small explanation, like a small summary? How the fuck did this happen? Like, how did he get into video games?
I don't know how, but in the 80s, because after like Star Wars and Indiana Jones, the guy was wealthy beyond all measure. Video games were the big thing, so he started a video game studio called Lucasfilm. I think they were the ones to originally make like the Star Wars and Indiana Jones games. And then they just started, getting talent and making more games. And eventually they got into adventure games. And they became the kings of the genre, just because it's funny, actually, we're so far removed from that. But this had George Lucas money behind it. Some of the best designers, music people, and artists in the business. This Monkey Island for 1990 was a AAA video game.
That's so cool, dude. We will never get a AAA, like all of our point-and-click adventure games nowadays that are like AAA are fucking David Cage games, Like, they're just fucking...
Yeah.
Detroit Become Human.
True. But can I also say something about I love that the troll turns out to be George Lucas, because only a huge, massive troll could invent Star Wars. And that's all I'll say about that. But I will say, the other thing I will say... I think you mean Wampa. A Wampa. Yes, the other thing I will say is, this isn't the only jab towards Lucas things in the game. I found all of those to be probably... I found them very, very funny, especially like when you explained one of the more out there meta jabs to me.
Can I explain this, Drew?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
So early on, when Drew started playing the game, I think they were only 1 or 2 sessions in. They asked me, why does every time they mention Monkey Island or Mealy Island, why does it have a trademark after it? And I actually didn't know the answer. I just thought, I guess because it's funny. But then, I started Googling it. And it turns out this was a jab at their parent company, because Lucasfilm, well, they were LucasArts at the time, they would trademark everything. like if you had a specific idea in your game or a proper noun, often like in the manual and stuff, they would put a trademark after it. It's like, that's ours. So that was kind of a dig at them.
Dude, no, I love that so much. That pervades through the entire game. And then there's obviously George Lucas shows up. And then the other big meta jab, it's a loving jab, because obviously like they're not like actually cannibalizing their own sales or whatever. But at the very beginning of the game in the bar, you can talk to one of the pirates, and his t-shirt says, what's the game called? Ask me about Loom. And you say, so what's Loom? And he's like, you mean the newest adventure game from the world-class designer, blah, 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 blah? You can get it on your PC right now. And it's like, dude, the internet wasn't very prevalent back then. So it's like, that's low-key kind of genius.
And did you notice as he's saying that, it says like obvious advertisement flashing down below?
Yes, it does. It does. That's so fucking good.
It's even funnier for me because Loom is my favorite adventure game. So I'm like, yay!
Really? Well, what I was gonna say, what's also kind of triple funny about that is I feel like Monkey Island is kind of the game or series that's kind of stuck around in the very, very mainstream more than Loom ever did. So this advertisement kind of is evergreen in that way, because like this is the first time I've ever heard about Loom.
It's aging well as an advertisement, because we're talking about it now, and now because like Dave's like, I liked the game, we should play it.
I actually I streamed it last year.
Was I watching then?
I don't recall. But God, I'd love to do Loom as a future podcast. But I'll definitely space out any adventure games for the long haul. I'll give you guys a break. But also, Dork didn't see this, but Drew, did you catch the Sam and Max cameo?
No, I did see a cameo of Grim Fandango in the Underworld, and I think I saw one other cameo that I wrote down, but I didn't notice the Sam and Max one.
Maybe it's only in the old version, but so Steve Purcell, the creator of Sam and Max, was a background artist and animator on Monkey Island and on a lot of the LucasArts games. So most LucasArts games of the 90s will have Sam or Max somewhere in them. My favorite is Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight. There's a town you go through, and there's one random house you can open up, and there's Max there. And if you attack Max, he pulls out a lightsaber and wrecks you.
That sounds amazing.
That's so funny.
But this one,
the other
Star Wars is so
that
cool.
I saw. You go first, Dork. All of you go.
Star
first.
Wars is so cool.
well,
Okay, I fucking regret letting you go first. I should have kept talking. But to say something actually interesting, the other cameo that I recognized as well is one of the idols in front of the monkey entrance to the underworld is the fucking little Day of the Tentacle guy.
That's my second favorite adventure game. But Sam and Max are in the idols in the old version of the game, at least.
Huh. That's interesting. That's fucking cool.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty hidden one, opposed to George Lucas just fucking popping his head off.
Very much so. now
I also wanted to say, going back to that one advertisement of Loom, I think that joke. So obviously, the advertisement aged well. I think the joke. I'm so happy that this special edition exists because they went so hard with it because the voice acting, like we said, I think is really. At least I think is very good.
Yeah, it is.
Dude. I love how genuine. Again, I think all the voice acting is very good, and I think it's for this reason. They're so genuine and they're so serious about everything, but also there's a slight tone of airy lightness to everything too. I adore because just think about this, right? The advertisement was put into this text adventure game-ish kind of thing. It was text on screen initially, and yet in 2008 they had someone wholeheartedly put his passion into recording this advertisement, and I just love how much he's pushing this game that is 10 to 20 years old at this point. It doesn't make sense anymore, and he's like, no, it's the best game ever.
And what's even better? What's even better about that is that anything else you ask him, he just responds, "I."
Yeah, exactly.
That's the one thing he loves and stands. Oh God.
Yeah, that pirate has mad autism and he goes nonverbal unless you ask about his special interests.
You think he's hyperfixating on Loom?
Yeah, I think he is. And you know what? Insane dub of a hyperfixation.
Man, Dave, are we able to talk about the voice acting yet? It's so good.
Oh yeah, sure. As I said, I switched to the original game near the end of Mealy Island. Every now and then I would switch back just to see how a character looked or sounded with the voice act. So Guybrush Threepwood, I think his name's Dominic Armato. He was most famous for voicing Spider-Man in the 90s cartoons.
Really?
And he the first game with voice acting was Curse of Monkey Island, which came out in 97. And he was cast as Guybrush then, and he has kept the role going up until Return to Monkey Island, which was 2 years ago. And he is amazing as Guybrush. He just nails the...
he's a consistent highlight of this entire game. He's amazing.
He nails that kind of naivety and just, I guess I'll go along with it. He's not really winking at the camera, but he's also kind of can you believe this shit?
Yeah.
He's a willing hostage,
Yeah. But he does break the fourth wall one time, and then later he is inconsistent about this because when he does the training with the first sword fight guy, he turns to the camera afterwards and is like, I help but feel like I've been ripped off. I'm sure you feel that way too. And later in the game, who talks to the camera and he's like, "Who are you talking to?" It's like, okay, you know that they're freaking there, dude. We already know this.
And when you open up the giant monkey head, he looks at the camera like, "Can you believe I'm doing this?"
Yeah, he does. He does have such a funny silent expression.
I'd also say, like, when he, like Dave, because you said you didn't actually get this cutscene. With the cutscene with the sheriff on the dock, when they're like, "We can make love, but after you become a pirate." Yeah, afterwards he, like, looks at the camera, he's like, "Well, I now have a very clear motivation to be a pirate," or something like that.
Yeah.
You know,
I want to get my dick really wet.
Dork, you said the scene with the sheriff. I know you meant Elaine, but that's even funnier. You're shipping now.
What?
A pirate game. Shipping. Woo!
Wait,
Yeah,
my God, you're right. No, not the sheriff. No.
No, you're shipping Guybrush with LeChuck because the sheriff is secretly LeChuck.
It's true. Oh my God. Oh no. Okay, sorry. The mayor, right?
Yeah.
No, like the governor? Is that what are
Governor.
Yeah, governor.
Governor. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. The governor at the dock.
He says, "I can't wait to experience post-game clarity with you."
And honestly, that would make
commercial.
sense for his character too, because he's so on the nose. Like at the end of the game, one of the options you can say to the governor is, "I feel like I wasted $20 on this video game," or something stupid.
Yeah.
No, it's even better. It's like, "What did you learn, Guybrush?" She's like, "Never pay more than $20 for a computer game."
Yeah.
Me sitting here with my PlayStation 5.
Where you like regularly spend like $80 for a game at this point.
Yeah, I know. Literally buys Persona 3 Reload and expansion pass, spends $100.
Oof. But
Just kidding, I didn't do that.
Good. But what you pointed out, like his motivation to go after Elaine once she gets kidnapped, because I didn't have that because I did the idol quest last. So when Guybrush gets out of the water, LeChuck's ship is already sailing off into the sunset. But I think it also plays to just how ridiculous the premise of the game is. The game opens up on Mealy Island. This character walks on screen, talks to the lookout, and goes, "My name is Guybrush Threepwood, and I want to be a pirate." And you're like, what?
Yeah, honestly, okay, I have to say, Dave, I had to confide in Drew. So like Drew knows exactly what I'm talking about, but initially, like the first hour of my 3 attempts, it took me like I could not get like a long play session under my belt initially. This game made me sick. I genuinely hated every second with it because I was not clicking. And I told Drew, hang on, I think I said something like, "This game like makes me sad."
This game makes my brain sad. This is what you said to me. Yeah.
It makes my brain sad. I hated it. And I almost wonder, because like you know like knowing everything I know now, I think the intro would be kind of hilarious. Like, wait, what? Okay, let's just become a pirate, I guess. But for some reason, I don't know. The intro just, perhaps it was just like me like not vibing with adventure games yet, or perhaps it's indicative of the intro not pulling me in. But I just remember dreading. I'm like, I wanted to potentially ask Dave, like, can I just watch a long play? Like, I don't want to play this. But no, I enjoy it a lot now. It's fun.
What I like, as you were going through the game, you started off very prickly, but then you started to talk about how funny certain aspects of the game were and how much fun you were having. So I really am glad that, even though the gameplay never clicked with you because it's a point and click, but you were won over by the writing and the delivery and just the silliness of it.
The game is so silly, dude. I would say like the first time I really laughed was because even though I haven't played a bunch of adventure games, I could tell like what was going on when him and like the sheriff get in that huge fight behind like the one wall, so you can't see anything. You just see the text going nuts.
Yeah,
and I'm like, rhinoceros, what's going on?
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed all of that, even though I wasn't privy to like the insider like meta of all the adventure game stuff he was joking about.
The one I always remember is like use torn confetti on a violent clown, and then it goes whee.
Yeah, it's so goofy. It's so extra funny just because they really lean into it and they're just playing a bunch of sound effects. But when I dived back there, I didn't expect for a bunch of commands to just happen automatically for like 2 full minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, this is like, what the fuck is going on back there?
In a way, it almost reminds me of like the sword fighting. It's like if you had this a quarter of the length, it would be funny and worth it. But because they really commit to it and make it go, just like really long, like they really go the distance with it. It makes it all the better. Like this is a long bit, and it's amazing for it.
And when they commit to the really long bits, I think those are some of the best in this game. Yeah,
and I think it was also. Like, there is a lot of thumbing their nose at other adventure games in this game, and I think that's one of them. Just the idea that often, the games will have you use ridiculous items to get out of ridiculous situations, and a lot of games will treat that as normal.
Yeah. One of my favorite long-running bits that they wrote throughout the whole script, because there are these long-running bits where it's like a one-off scene that goes on for a long time, and that's like what the joke is, which the dock scene is in the same vein. But also, there's also lots of subtle gags where they'll bring it up every now and again, and then pay it off at the end as well. And my favorite of those was they will bring up the idea of Guybrush trying to distract someone by being like, look behind you, there's a 3-headed monkey. And then at the end, when you're in the cannibal village, a 3-headed monkey literally appears just existing. And Guybrush is like, oh, look, a 3-headed, whoa, that's crazy. I really liked that payoff. That was very, very funny.
I'm really glad that you liked that, Drew, because I think at that point I was like so in the I want to finish this that I don't even think it clicked with me. I remember seeing the 3-headed monkey and just going, all right, like I don't, I don't. It's just like another in one of the wacky things in this game, I guess. Also, where the fuck is Herman? Let me drown him.
Yeah, fuck Herman. All my
fuck that guy,
hate
dude.
Herman.
Dude, literally, go away from me, kid. Stop bothering me. Like, just fuck off.
I know. And he's just outwardly fucking racist. What the fuck?
Wait. Like, I don't think I caught this.
He just, like, walks up to you and he's like, yeah, fuck those cannibals. They just stole from me and they're shitty roommates and I'm the only civilized person on this island. Which I know is, like, a running bit because then you go to the cannibals and they say, we're the only civilized people here. But Herman is just like, yeah, fuck these guys. I hate them all. They suck. And it's like, holy shit, this is crazy.
I really, really liked the whole civilized thing with the cannibals. Like, we're the only civilized people living here. I'm like, dude, fucking preach. I hate this Herman asshole.
Yeah. Well, I like the notes you can find around Monkey Island that basically are just like when you have a shitty roommate that you don't want to talk to, and so you just leave a note for them to.
That's exactly what it was.
Shit. And it's so fun. That is a really, really funny thing. On top of like obviously being hints for gameplay, of course, but it's also just like a really funny bit.
Now, did you like? I mean, it's not technically this, but I think this is what the joke is: the idea that the cannibals are becoming vegetarian because it's eating people is just too unhealthy for them.
Yeah, I didn't like that because the cannibals were becoming vegan and they've gone woke. And I just need to stop forcing this shit into my fucking games. I'm just trying to... As the Great Boogie 2988 said this week, video games are supposed to be fun, not lectures about how evil white people are.
That's really what I was getting from this too. Like, wow, they're really making me like think, wow, white men are bad. You are bad for playing this. Like, geez, calm down, guys. Like,
jeez,
Dork,
oh my god.
Dork, when you do the video version of this, when Drew starts his rant, you need like a flashing "this is satire" or something like that.
Yeah,
I will add.
Yeah,
I will add that in for
speaking
them,
of
yes.
the
cannibals.
Fuck, what was I saying? Speaking, not the cannibals. Oh yeah, there was a funny joke.
White people.
I like when you fake them out with the idol and you give it to one of them, and the person's like, "Oh, this idol says made by Lemonhead, just like one of mine." That's really funny because he's so dumb. One of my favorite things is this is a pretty star-studded cast where a lot of people like double up. The one that stuck out to me immediately is in the first cutscene where they cut to LeChuck. The skeleton comes in, the little pirate skeleton that's LeChuck's little
Bitch.
sidekick, and his bitch, and it's Rob Paulson. Fucking Rob Paulson, fucking Yakko Warner, Carl Weezer, Pinky from Pinky and the Brain. Like, that's so awesome. I love Rob Paulson's work. So he stuck out to me immediately. But the voice cast is great overall. I think there were some other names that I definitely recognized, but I didn't write any of them down. But Rob Paulson was definitely the one that stuck out to me the most.
I love that character as well, because you didn't get this, Drew, because Dork and we sunk our own ship using the rock catapult at the top of Monkey Island. So if you do that, it's like, well, how do you get back to Mealy Island? You don't have a ship. So what happens is once you give the route to the cannibals, you go back there, and Rob Paulson's ghost is just standing there. He's like, they left without me. And Guybrush is like, oh no, what are we going to do? And then Herman comes in and goes, apparently the ghost was his whole buddy, that he was shipwrecked with. He's like, oh, how are you? I actually have a ship. And Guybrush is like, wait, Herman, you have a ship? Why are you still on the island? Well, you can't get rescued yourself. I'll let you come with me if you promise to rescue me with my own ship. And he's like, okay, let's go.
That's the only good Herman Toothrot line.
Yeah.
No, it was funny because I had kind of I don't remember how I heard about this. It isn't like I was trying to look through a walkthrough, but I'm pretty sure I heard about, you can either have Herman with you or you can have your crew with you. And then once I realized I murdered my crew, I kind of put the pieces together. And then I'm like the moment that he's like, I have a ship, I texted or I messaged the group, to Dave. I'm like, oh, Dave, I'm on the fucking Herman path, aren't I? I was so annoyed. I wanted him to stay on there.
Well, yeah, because the path that I got is when you go down there and the skeleton is like, oh, they left without me. Your crew comes in and Otis and the tattoo guy are like, oh, our old pirate buddy, the skeleton man. Huh. So they say that they knew him. Yeah.
Listen. I'm actually, guys, that is a kind of a letdown for me. I adored that little cannonball tattoo guy. I'm not sure why I keep calling him Cannonball. I could have sworn he was called that. Where he had the huge muscular shirtless
Meat Hook.
Tattoo guy, Meat Hook. I adore that fucking guy. That whole section with him and the bird, amazing. But dude, I was really hoping me and him were going to be friends. I wanted him to be friends with me, and then he's just part of the mutiny crew, and I hate that. I saved that prisoner's fucking life, and he has the gall to mutiny. That little shit. Oh my god, I was so fucking pissed. I think my lowest point in the game was on that boat. I hated that boat ride so much because the crew is a piece of shit. The hatch was impossible to see. I had to fucking pixel hunt for it. The whole I hate. Oh my god! Why didn't they just let me be friends with Meat Hook, Dave?
Dork was so mad in the Discord chat when this happened, especially about Otis. Yeah, I remember you ranting, I saved him!
Yeah, literally. And what's even crazier is because I was annoyed with the logic of the game early on, because I was adamant. I was thinking, I gotta get this guy free. And after a while, he's like, I don't have anything else to talk about. Why don't you go talk to any other pirate on this island? I'm like, dude, I want to set you free, you dick. And he's like, here's a carrot cake. And then of course, eventually I find out there was a file in the carrot cake. No shit, dude, you're supposed to use this to escape. So I took the file back to him and he didn't want it. And I couldn't use it on the cell. I'm like, I need to rescue this guy. And it turns out I have to do it way later. And so it was extra annoying because me as a player, I was trying to rescue this guy since day fucking one, right? And he has the gall to mutiny on me, dick.
Yeah. And that's why I cackled when I sunk their ship. I went up there to use the catapult, and I'd forgotten that its initial trajectory is to hit the ship. So I just laughed because they were such dicks to Guybrush the whole time. I'm like, yes. Serves you right.
Of course, Guybrush is kind of goofy and everything, but at the same time, it's like, Why are all of you assholes? Also, Dave, I don't think Drew saw this, but could you like go through the like fake out death thing up there too?
Yeah, that is something. So actually, there are two little like meta jokes at the expense of like other adventure games in this game. One of them is in the forest to get to the Swordmaster. Oh, sorry, no, to get to the buried treasure. There is, I don't think it's in the new version, but it's in the old version. If you're not following the instructions, you can get lost and you can try and exit the screen and a pop-up will come up and it'll say like insert disk 12. Now, Monkey Island, this is back when games came out on floppy disks. Now, Monkey Island only came on 3 floppy disks. So I think they were thumbing their nose. There were other games at the time that still released on like, 12 to 15 to 20 floppies.
Oh my God.
Gosh.
And so it's that kind of joke. And it's funny, in Monkey Island 3, you can transport back to the first game and you actually get to go to that secret screen that wasn't in the first game in the forest. But the second one is on the top of the mountain. If you walk all the way to the right, the cliff will give way and Guybrush will fall to his death. And a little box comes up on the screen that says, oops, looks like you died. And then it'll have 3 options: restore, restart, or quit, which was how all the old Sierra adventures did it, because you could die just by blinking at the game in those games. So you had to save all the time. And every time you died, that box would come up. But as you're looking at this box, Guybrush pops back into frame. He lands back on the cliff. He goes, whoa, rubber tree.
As in, like, that's what he landed on? Right?
Yeah,
no?
So...
No, I'm saying, I'm asking you, Dave, as in, like, that's the joke, I'm not missing it?
Yeah.
On a rubber tree, and he came back?
Yeah, you landed on a rubber tree, and it bounced him back up.
Right. It was funny. Have you seen how it looks in like, the special edition, or just the old version?
I did the old version.
So... I'm pretty sure he falls through the screen on mine. Like, he falls... It almost looked like it was a glitch. Like, it didn't look like, oh, he just died. I thought the game glitched. Like, I thought the whole joke was like, oh, you broke your game kind of thing.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, I wonder if they changed it a little, because I will say, neither of those jokes play in 2008. But
I still appreciate, like, that like, they're there, though, because it's just nice to... have these, because this is such like a product of its time, so it's kind of fun to be like, oh, around this time they were like making jokes at other... It almost reminds me of No More Heroes 1. The overworld is such a pain to explore, but again, like we said, it was Suda51 trying to replicate how he felt playing GTA San Andreas in that open world. So even though it feels like ass today, it's still kind of fun to know that here's how like the gaming, like here was some discourse that was happening when the game was being made. Very cool.
And like I do find those jokes in Monkey Island are pretty good natured. Like maybe at the time they hit a little harder, or maybe people at Sierra might have got their feelings hurt. I don't know, but It's just, it's one of those fun memories because, I'm old enough to remember all these difficulties to playing games back in the day.
Back in my day, we had an NES hooked up.
Oh, don't even get me started on it. You had to go to channel 3 and you had to screw that thing in the back of your CRT and But
hey, I was there. I think my N64 like plugged into the cable. So awkward and dumb, like the fucking axial thing or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, so bad.
Now, I asked you, both of you, if you had a favorite puzzle. Now, do you have a least favorite puzzle?
Yes, I do. Drew, I've been talking for a while, so if you want to go first.
We might have the same one, too. Also, sorry, this cat will not stop yapping.
Special guest Drew's cat. Well, it's not your cat, it's your roommate's cat, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But starring special guest Leo the bitch. Go the fuck away. Go sleep. Go beat your brother up for the 50 millionth time today. Dork, I think we might have the same least favorite puzzle.
I don't think so.
Because that fucking grog mug is
That's
the
mine.
fucking worst thing ever in the fucking world. mainly because of the special edition UI. But yeah, just not. You said you had to do it in with 4 cups, which means you played it very safe. But I was able to do it in 2, which is my humble brag.
Oh damn!
Yeah, but it's still like just sucks. It's not a good puzzle, and it's not fun.
Objection. Once I was explained it, I kind of like it. I won't lie. I think it's kind of fun. And I even was using, I think, we'll have to see on the video podcast if I remembered right. I think I still use the special edition because it wasn't that difficult. Because you have so many mugs, so I think you're pretty safe there. In fact, I think the most annoying part was grabbing all of the mugs in the first place. Pressing V, grab mug, pressing V, grab mug.
Yeah,
I actually don't really hate.
Retry it.
True,
Especially
and I don't think
yeah.
And I don't. I didn't have to, so it's funny. I didn't hate that one. No.
Well, here's why. It's maybe a pet peeve. Because, again, played a lot of adventure games, and some adventure games have these puzzles where if you don't do the puzzle right, you have to go back and do a lot of work to set up the circumstances to get the puzzle going again. Now, the Grog one is not as difficult as some of them I've played in games. There's a game called Goblins 2, where when I played it for a review in 2012, I played it as a kid and never got too far, but I was following a walkthrough and I gave up because if you got the timing wrong, the setup was like 5 to 7 minutes just to have another go at this puzzle to get the timing right. Absolutely ridiculous. But the Grog puzzle is in that vein where if you fail, you got to go get more mugs, you got to get the Grog back, and then you've got to walk all those screens again. I think it's the principle of the thing. I mean, I didn't struggle too much. It was when I switched over to the old UI for good, so I could easily just transfer the Grog with the inventory and the verbs right there on screen. But it's basically what the puzzle represents, which makes it my least favorite.
Yeah, and it's basically like this is the only time in the game where even if the setup for a puzzle is very annoying, that every other puzzle at least has like a satisfying end or like a really funny punchline. And this is the only time where that didn't really happen because you just let Otis out and he's like, oh, fuck you, bye. And then he just walks out. So I was just like, man, I struggled with that for like 5 or 10 minutes. And that's the thanks I get. Like, damn.
So, Dork, if it's not the Grog puzzle, which is your least favorite puzzle?
Well, it kind of goes along with what you said, Dave. It's the principle of the thing. I also don't think the hints helped me much either. Again, you guys can tell me, like, did I miss something? I don't know why someone would go picking up bananas. Why would someone go start grabbing all the bananas? Mm-hmm. No, I'm asking you.
To give to the monkey.
Why would... Okay, so I didn't even like realize that like the lever thing was too high up for me to reach. I didn't even like see the lever that was at the monkey eye or at the huge like monkey head. So I didn't even know that was a factor in this huge thing, right? So eventually, because I was stuck on Melee Island, or I was stuck on Monkey Island, eventually I hit the hint thing and it said, "Go collect more bananas," and it specifically said more, and I'm like, I haven't even grabbed one. What are you fucking talking about? Like, why the fuck would I want to do this? Why would I want to do this? Because there's one monkey, and I even when I grabbed all, even when I had enough, apparently, like Dave's like, well, what animal likes bananas? Like, oh, great hint, Dave. I was just like, yeah, I understand fucking monkeys like bananas, but why the fuck would I give this monkey this specific number of bananas? Oh, he follows you. Why? Like, it was just like, what am I doing with this game? What the fuck's going on? So I hated that because there was an all-encompassing puzzle. You had to collect bananas everywhere. So it's like, why am I doing this over and over and over? What the fuck's the payoff? Oh, he follows you and he pulls the lever down. Oh, okay. Awful. Terrible. I hated it.
No.
I don't pick things up, Dave. It made no sense to me. It's so stupid.
I mean, I did tell Dork that is kind of just an adventure game mantra. You pick up everything you can because it might be useful And I can understand why you take umbrage with that, because it does kind of make no sense, especially because if you only have so much pocket space. I mean, the only time in the game it actually matters is when you try and pick up the banana picker and you have to go through the hole. And Guybrush is like, oh, I better leave the banana picker here. That won't fit through the hole. And, you know, when you use the key to the giant monkey head, Guybrush pulls his pants open and pulls out that huge Q-tip.
Oh my God, you're right. I didn't even put those two together. You're right. Fucking hell.
But, so I can understand just the frustration of like, why am I doing this? I will say I love how that puzzle is layered, like in an abstract way, like the idea that, so you need to get the banana picker out, but to get the banana picker out, you need to give the cannibals something so they won't eat you. But to get what they want, you have to get into the giant monkey head. And I found it really difficult to notice the lever as well. But once I did, it's like, okay, so you need something to get the lever. You need the monkey to get the lever, but the monkey won't follow you unless you give him all the bananas. So you actually need to go to the cannibal's lair and village, sorry. You have to go to the cannibal's village and get the bananas from them. So, it's like these two things are zigzagging back and forth. I just really like how the solutions to those areas were kind of stacked on top of each other, how they were kind of interwoven. I just thought it was really clever.
I can absolutely respect the idea of it, because as you're explaining it, yeah, that is cool. But I almost think, and I hate to be that guy, it's like, oh, I want games to be more handholdy. But I think if there was just some dialogue from Threepwood where it was oh, he won't follow me, or just anything with the monkey at all to alert me that the current status of the monkey is not ideal in any way, I think I would have been like, oh, okay, so I need to make sure this monkey likes me. Just anything. But I just thought it was, okay, yep, there's a monkey. But again, I'm an idiot now because now anything that has text at the bottom, oh, it says monkey, that could be. No, here's the crazy thing. All right, here's the big brain thing, right? When you're in the overhead island view, you can see a thing that says monkey, and you head there, and yep, you're there with the monkey. Here's the thing. When you hover over monkey, it doesn't say monkey. I didn't even know he was interactable. He doesn't have a thing. So I think if it hovered over the monkey, and I could click on it, and he'd be like, yep, he's a monkey. He doesn't really like me. Or, that would have been perfect. I would have been sold.
Well, it does, but it's very finicky. It's only really when the monkey's stationary, which it rarely is, that you get that thing happening, which so again is kind of a design flaw.
You know what? That also reminds me. So it in a way, it's almost like the positioning of the monkey wasn't exactly right, or the pixel, there weren't enough pixels for it.
Yeah.
For right. That same exact thing happened with that fucking sleeping. Skeleton ghost thing. I knew wholeheartedly I had the feather to tickle somebody because I was in this game's brain now. I knew what it wanted because tickling something with the feather, yeah, of course. So I knew what I had to do now. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to tickle every single thing. I tried it on everybody. And then I'm like, because I already tried it on the freaking ghost who was sleeping. I tried it on him and it said, I can't find a tickler spot on his body. And usually, when fucking Threepwood says something like that, it's a done deal. Okay, he's not interactable, or it doesn't work on him, whatever. But no, apparently he was in the wrong positioning, because I had to look it up, and it said, you're supposed to use it on his feet. And I'm like, what? So I tried his feet, and there's no pixel there that said feet. I tried it 10 times. Apparently, when I walk back, out of the room and come back, he changes his position, and now I can get his foot. It was so maddening, dude. Mm-hmm. What is this pixel hunt garbage?
And you just said the term. Pixel hunting is another huge criticism of the entire genre. The idea that actually a good example is the rubber chicken with a pulley in the middle. In the new version, you go into the Voodoo Lady's shop, and it's sitting right there on the desk. It's weird and it's very noticeable, and you just pick it up. Cool. In the old version, her entire room before you get to her is kind of covered in shadow. So it's still on the desk, but it's just like this small chicken silhouette that's the same as all the other silhouettes on the table. So you kind of have to go pixel hunting to find where it says chicken to pick it up. And then Guybrush is like, oh, this chicken has a pulley in the middle. How odd. And so I guess in that way, it's not kind of a surprise, but pixel hunting has plagued the adventure game genre. Now, later on, much later on, sadly, adventure games started adding like a hotspot button where you could press tab or, and then everything that was interactable in a screen would actually flash or glow. And that was very helpful. But a lot of these older games, most of these older games do not have that. So even if a walkthrough says, you got to push the brick, you can spend, minutes looking at the brick wall on a screen and trying to find the right brick to push.
I'm not sure if I would love the idea of just being able to hit tab and see everything I could interact with. I feel like that would kind of kill it for me, because I think I would almost like view it not as I'm in that world, but I'm more like, okay, how do I interact with this computer game? I know. Like it almost like removes a layer of immersion in a way. And I think that, not that this game is very immersive. I'm sure at the time it was more than anything else, but it would just feel like almost like too abstract for me, Like I always hate it when like games are way too obvious when it comes to anything you can grab. Then again, hang on, perhaps I wouldn't hate it. Perhaps I'm just like blowing smoke here. I don't know. I guess I'd have to see it in practice, like, to actually know for sure.
It seems like a solution to an inelegant problem, like,
True, yeah.
Like, so I mentioned Day of the Tentacle as one of my second favorite adventure game. It's actually the game that writers Tim Schafer and Dave Grossman went on to make after Monkey Island. It's the sequel to Maniac Mansion, which Ron Gilbert made before Monkey Island. And in that game, it's got a much more cartoony style, but everything that can be picked up is a lot more obvious in the screen. I think it has to do with the art style, and maybe by that time they were using VGA and SVGA graphics. Like Monkey Island was still in that era where like Loom was in EGA, so it only had like 16 colors to play with. A lot of CPUs, and there weren't video cards at the time. They were on board with the CPU, and a lot of CPUs at the time could only do 16 or 32 colors. VGA was 64 colors, I believe, and then SVGA was 256 colors. And these were like wild improvements to how games could look. But,
Jeez.
a lot of computers did not have the tech to run that. So these games often had multiple versions, like the EGA version and the VGA version and the SVGA version, which sometimes they would re-release later, like a remaster, like, it's the same game, but it looks better.
I have a question for you, Dave.
Yeah.
We were talking about Loom. Does Loom have any, or like if you were to have us play it, is it an oldish looking game, or is it,
It is. I actually prefer the EGA version. I think the limitations of the color palette made them be very creative with how the game looks. They actually pioneered dithering to make the game look a lot more interesting and textured. But the VGA version looks really nice. I would say the VGA version looks similar to Monkey Island in terms of the level of detail. The game itself is completely differently designed. That would have to be a conversation for another time. But yeah, it's graphically the VGA version is, I'd say, on par with Monkey Island.
You mean like the original version?
No, well, I think EGA and VGA were released at the same time, because I think that game was also 1990.
No, I mean like you're comparing it to how the original. Monkey Island looks.
Yes, the original Monkey Island.
I'd say a lot of my enjoyment from this game, I almost think a lot of it has to do with the special edition stuff. So I'm not sure how much I would really love playing an older one,
Yeah,
because the voice acting was so. Oh yeah, speaking of the voice acting, the Drew, did you have the voice act? I'm sure you're on the special edition the whole time, right?
Yeah, I was.
The ending when Threepwood kept getting punched in the air by LeChuck. Oh my god, that audio is so good.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's that,
So
but it's
funny.
you hear the punch, and it's like boom, and you hear the hua, and it immediately goes off because he goes off screen. So it's like a huge hua, and then like the is way far away. It's amazing.
It's so funny.
And I loved it because
You know
I
what,
didn't realize the
guys?
solution. I didn't realize the solution for so long. So I was so cool with it because it was so funny. And I only had like 3 seconds to spare before he punched me, right? So I'm just thinking, what do I do? What do I do? The bottle? He's like, yep, that's a bottle. And then I get punched, and then I'm like, shit, what do I do? What do I do? And he's like, oh no, he's evil, mean, and he's gonna hit me again. And then he just goes again. And then I'm like, shit, I'll try to like run to the dock immediately. But it was so funny.
That's so funny.
Like, Dave, I'm assuming you grabbed the root beer immediately, but essentially he knocks you back and forth between stands and between like the other like sword trainer guy plays.
No, I know that because the first time I played the game, I didn't know what to do. So it took a little while to clue into the root beer at stands. And I do also love how, because Dork complained about this early on, he's like, this soda machine is taking all my money. It doesn't work. And then in the climax of the game, you get knocked into the soda machine.
And it's like, there's the root beer and there's all my money.
And also a funny thing about that is the entire time Dork was playing the game, he's like, Dave, I know this is a spoiler, but just tell me, is the church used for anything? And I'm like, yeah. And then he goes off Mealy Island and go, I'm off Mealy Island and the church wasn't used. What the hell, Dave? I'm like, just keep playing.
You'll get there.
Also,
Dude,
like the
whole
ending.
climax is fucking genius. The whole ending is genius.
Yeah, I agree. I'd say like the moment you like talk to like the ghost guy, like, where's the ship? Everything from like there on is fucking gold, you know? Mm-hmm. He's like, how come you're still here? Oh, I fell off and hit my head, and it's like, oh, you fucking embarrassment.
I also love how you can do like the action movie thing. You have the root beer and those ghost pirates on the way to the church are like, hey, what are you doing here?
Dude,
and then
Dave, thank you for reminding me. That was one of the best parts.
Yeah.
I was laughing because, okay, so the one guy who was in the road, I could tell I could just spray at any time. And he kept asking me questions, and I kept answering them because I thought it was funny to drag this out. And because I thought Threepwood, that seems like him. He's like, what are you doing here? A wedding. You don't have an invitation. Oh, you don't do that. Well, if you think about it, blah, 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 blah. And I just kept going and going. And eventually he's like, fuck this. And he eventually does this spray like Indiana Jones does in the movie with the gun.
That's funny.
Hey,
That's just...
This is very similar to the guys blocking your way on the way to the church. But after you stole the idol from the governor's mansion, did you talk to the guy who is guarding the governor's mansion about how he can work you in at like 5 a.m. for looting? Like there's a very structured way that all the pirates on the island are going to loot the governor's mansion.
Yeah.
I love that reservation bit. That's so funny.
I wanted to say like one last thing about the ending part too.
Okay.
Your inventory is completely gone except the money. So I thought that was like Dave, when you first played the game, like was that like a whoa, what the heck do I do? You know kind of thing, or like was it just like this is fine?
No, I really liked it when the game takes my inventory away. This isn't the only game that does that because it limits my options. You know, it's like, okay, this is the climax. I don't have all my stuff. So whatever is going to be used for this ending is either on me or I'm going to pick it up now. I like it. It kind of takes the pressure off because you will notice there were kind of two styles of gameplay in terms of puzzle solving in this game. There was Mealy Island and Monkey Island, which are these big areas that you can explore multiple areas and pick up all these things. And there are multiple puzzles going on, and you kind of have leeway to tackle things in mostly any order you choose. And then there is Chapter 2 on the ship, where you have a very short amount of screens, or even the Ghost Ship was like this. And there's one central puzzle, and it has a bunch of parts, and you just have to work it out with your limited inventory. And I tend to like the bigger areas better because I like the idea of exploring and not just bumping my head against the wall when I'm trying to solve a single puzzle. But I think the ending works because they take away everything and it's very almost streamlined point A to B to C to D. And really, if I'm thinking about it, the only puzzle is how do I defeat LeChuck?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure like that's a thing that Drew specifically said was that it's almost like RE in a way where like it has it really open parts and then like it really confines you for like a few sections too.
Yeah, it is really like the first Resident Evil, especially the first Resident Evil in that way. That really stuck out to me right off the bat. Yeah, very cool.
Oh, Dave, how did you think about the Hell Maze again? You said you wanted to talk about the Hell Maze thing.
I did actually. I mean, it's funny because, the game has 2 mazes, but I don't think any of us really have much to say about the finding the treasure maze.
The only thing I thought of was like, dude, literally, like, they did this before Link to the Past did.
Link to the Past?
Yeah, the Lost Woods.
Yeah, I mean, like,
oh shit!
I think that was the first time they had a Lost Woods in a Zelda game, and I'm like, this came out in 1990.
What I remember about that is like I remember in chat you bought the map off the Shifty Pirate, and you're like, wait, this isn't a treasure map, and I just responded chat, or is it?
Well, I won't lie. I was trying to get in character of like I've been bamboozled, right?
Yeah,
so I was just like, I think that the same thing happened with the whole like vending machine. I'm like, I just got scammed, this fucker, like But I also think I guess in '86 the first Zelda came out. That was the original Lost Woods, but either way, it wasn't an idea that was like done to death yet. So you know what? Fucking kudos.
But the reason I did want to bring up the Hell Maze is because I think it's the woods on steroids a bit, mainly because it's an impossible space. Often when you have the head guide, you will go to like the right, you will move the screen along in the same area, and then the head will look left, and then you'll move the screen along back, and it's a completely different space.
Yeah, that kind of pissed me off, I won't lie. Because, like, the head thing, listen, like, I'd say in terms of the entire game, this one also kind of brought me back to, I'm playing a game. Here are some mechanics, and here's, like a visual cue of, like, where to go and how to play the game. But there was one spot in particular where he kept looking to the left. I'd walk 2 feet, he looked to the right. I'd walk 2 feet, look to the left. I'm like, whoa. And I'm guessing, I'm like, am I supposed to assume you mean go up, like, up on the map? Like, like, walk over this bridge, and so that's the only part that was pissing me off about it, because he couldn't make up his fucking mind. Get it? He didn't have his head on straight. You know what I'm saying, guys?
I guess he didn't know how to get ahead in navigating.
Guys, I think my joke was funny, and I'm very annoyed I didn't get an. Drew, are you alive?
Yeah. I'm just watching this fucking cat run around my room. It's fucking scary and beautiful all at the same time.
Drew, you're with us now. Throw the cat in the dumpster like that one lady in the UK did.
All right, here I go.
No, I don't condone this. Shit, you got to put something in that I don't. This is all a joke, satire.
Actually, thank you for making that joke, Dork, because I didn't bring up how you poisoned the poodles.
Oh God, yeah, they had to put a big disclaimer there. They're just sleeping. That was so good.
Yep. Also, the idea of piranha poodles is pretty funny.
Yeah. Like anything. You could put the word piranha in front of any noun, and I would think it's really cool as a concept.
Piranha can opener.
Piranha plant, perhaps.
We have kind of bounced around the whole game, so I think I definitely want to get into the music, which I think, that's usually Drew's passion. So hopefully we'll hear from you a bit more, cat notwithstanding, with the music. But
Drew got called out.
No, I actually just feel bad. It's like, maybe I haven't asked you enough questions, Drew. You've been kind of quiet.
No,
but
you're good. I'm literally mad chilling.
But now that I know it's the cat's fault, I don't feel as bad. But I know there are a few characters that I'd love to get your opinions on, because the game has a lot of memorable and funny characters. But, to start with, we've kind of talked around him, but what do you think of LeChuck as a villain?
I think LeChuck, is a fine villain. He's kind of just like, he's just like the bad guy. I wouldn't really say that he's particularly menacing or actually scary, but he gets the job done. I don't hate him. The puzzle where you're on the pirate ship and you have to sneak into his room and find a way to steal his key without him noticing you, because he'll turn around and call out like that he senses a presence even though you're invisible. That was like spooky enough that I liked it. Where it was like, ooh, like I don't want this guy to fucking spot me. And then obviously the whole climax where he beats the shit out of Guybrush is really fucking funny. So like he gets the job done and he's like a fun villain and he gets defeated in like a very silly cartoony way. So it like works out fine.
Root beer.
He fits the game's tone very well. Root beer. Yeah.
Also in like the special edition, when he moves, that little like afterburner like effect thing he has is really cool looking.
It does look really good. I forgot about that. Thank you for mentioning that.
I also like that it's a very early conversation he has with his first mate where he's like, "You are proud to be dead, aren't you?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm really happy you ambushed my crew and murdered all of us. Just great. Great."
Yeah.
And this is something I only thought about like yesterday. It's so innocuous that maybe you don't pay it any mind, but his name, LeChuck, like a French throw up.
Is that what it's supposed to be? That's so funny. Don't even get me started on the French or we'll be here for 50,000 years.
Oh my God.
But
honestly, I don't even like see like, I think I agree with Drew. He's passable. I don't really, I think the game introed with the cutscene with him, didn't he? And I was just not really hooked. It's just like, I get it. I just wasn't really hooked much. It's what he's whatever. He's there to do his job.
Well, let me talk about a character I know you love. Let's talk about Stan.
I love Stan. Let's go.
This is the part where you put this fucking music in and let's talk about Stan. He's got a good song.
Yeah.
He does have a good song.
His voice actor hits that smarmy used salesman pattern perfectly.
The voice acting for him is perfect. Unfortunately, he's fucking the worst. I've been watching Gravity Falls through again with my housemate, and Grunkle Stan obviously is a very similar character in that he likes to fucking scam people and he's old and like very apathetic to people, but he also has any dimension behind him, whereas Stan doesn't get to have any, which is fine. That's the kind of game that this is. So you just come out of interactions with him being like, dude, what a freaking demon. I'm literally he's more of an evil demon than anybody in the fucking underworld. And he's more evil than like any of the cannibals.
I think when you first met him in chat, you said, "Is this guy tweaking on Molly?"
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. The way they play that looping animation of him swinging his arms around, he genuinely seems like he is like wired on some kind of hard drug. It's insane.
I have a story about that I already told Drew. So my girlfriend was up here with our newborn as that was happening, and I'm like, I hate this guy. And then she's like, why does he look like our daughter? And I'm like, what? And I was thinking like his like suit matched perhaps her pajamas. I wasn't sure. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then she's like, his arms are flailing all over, just like our daughter's does. I'm like, oh my God, you're right. Literally, he cannot control his limbs.
Yeah, that's funny. That's why he's begging you for attention, because he's a fucking baby.
Well,
you have to admit, okay, so him sliding in, because at first I was kind of annoyed. You can't move around. Like when he's active in the area, you can't move freely in that area. But if it's all because, like when you choose to leave and then he slides in from the left-hand side of the screen to give you his card, if that's the payoff, that's fine, because that's fucking hilarious. He's magic. Yeah. He's literally a magic being in the game.
I also really love that bit where you've bought the ship and he's there on the dock with you with like his arm around your shoulder and he's like, You're gonna love this ship. You know, wait a minute. I can't do it. I love this ship too much. I'm not gonna sell it to you. And then the mast falls in the water. He's like, but you've already paid.
Also, the fucking I didn't realize that you had to ask for like the no frills, because I was like, what the fuck's going on? So I thought this was extra cheeky. Like initially, I'm like, wait, I got the freaking like 5,000 like credit limit thing from that one guy, like the loan credit. And he wants more than 5,000. This guy is such a dick. But this is also where the issue with the special edition comes in again, because you can't skip dialogue. So hearing him go through the extras when my girlfriend was up here and she was watching this part and she's like, this guy won't shut the fuck up. And I'm like, I know I can't skip this. So I sometimes would have to like switch to the old version to press period to skip freaking dialogue.
Yeah, that was I was stuck there. Okay, this is gonna make me sound like such a boomer, and it's partially because even as someone that loves video games and all of my fucking hobbies are on the computer and on video game consoles, it's gonna make me sound like a boomer. But when I encounter any sort of like hardship with like key configurations, or I can't figure out how to do something, like I literally cannot understand it. So when Dave was like, hit F10 to switch the graphics, it didn't work for me. And I couldn't figure it out. And so I was like, I'll just deal with it. Oh. So I was stuck. So I was stuck with I was stuck having to talk to Stan for the like a full however long it was to get all the frills down, just because I'm such an old head and I can't figure out computers at all.
Well, like it really impacted me, because I at one point on the island I looked at all of the or all of the notes I had gotten or something. Dude, big mistake, because fucking Threepwood will read out loud all of the pamphlets or whatever, and you have to, like, if you're on the special edition, you can't do anything. You will sit there and wait. So I switched over and I'm like, period, and I'm like, this is so much text. They have to be pulling this shit. Like, they have to be, what's the phrase?
Taking the piss is one I use.
They have to be taking the piss with this. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, okay. This is a character. These are characters you may have forgotten. I think it's a wonderful area of the game. It's how you get your money. What do you think of the Fettuccine brothers?
The
freaking. I love the circus guys.
Yeah, they're little funny guys. You know
what? I think we should praise them. A pretty good amount, because I'm gonna out myself here. It's in this area. This is the exact spot where like the game first was kind of winning me over, because I thought these two guys were funny. This was the first time I'm like, wait, hang on. Maybe I don't hate Dave for making me play this. Because honestly, when they kept going back and forth, you're a blah blah blah, you're a blah blah, like they kept going on, and I'm like, wait, these guys are going to keep going until I interrupt them? This is amazing. Because other games, I hate how anytime, I always feel like in almost every other game, or even like movies, when you have a character who's trying to cut off a different character, it's clear most of the time there wasn't anything else written for them to say anyway. And this one, they can just keep going. It was so funny. I'm like, they're still again, a theme. This game, when it does bits, it keeps going. It's so good. I love the circus guys so much.
They commit to their bits.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I thought, we've done it in every episode so far. We talk about the music of the game. Now, it's interesting for this one. Like, there is a lot more music, and it plays a lot more frequently in the special edition. But I mostly played the older version with the more meaty music. But I gotta say, I love the soundtrack. I love the theme of Monkey Island, the one the game starts with. That's been in my head ever since we started playing. And we were talking a little about music tracks before we recorded. And yeah, I love most of these tracks.
I really, really love the Melee Island song.
Yeah, it's a very cute little ditty while you're just walking around. Very relaxing.
I thought Drew was going to join in.
Ooh, very nice, very nice.
Dun, dun. Yeah,
Very catchy.
that's a memorable one. I said I like LeChuck's theme, that horn.
Very fun. But you know what the biggest banger is? You know what the biggest banger is? Was when you get on the pirate ship and they're just going fucking super ham on that fucking fiddle. It's so good.
Oh yeah, they're all parsying. I was about to say pirating. I'm like, no, that's redundant.
They're doing both at the same time.
Yeah.
But you know what I learned from the credits about that song? So apparently in the special edition, they did have to compress the sound a little bit, but apparently they did have they recorded some soloists for different instruments.
Oh, cool.
To like redo the soundtrack. And you know who plays the fucking fiddle in this score? Fucking Peter McConnell. The fucking guy who did the soundtrack for Psychonauts and a bunch of shit.
Oh yeah, because he is a long-term contributor with Tim Schafer from the LucasArts days, I think.
Yeah. So, and I mean, this guy gets around and he makes very, very like cinematic sound. I mean, obviously he didn't compose; he just recorded because this is based off the original tune.
Yeah.
But like, you know, you got a guy who's really good at making really like intricate music, and then you're like, yeah, play the fucking fiddle, bitch, and then he does it, and it's like the best thing ever, and it's awesome.
Now the interesting thing for me playing the old version is there are huge sections of the game where there is not music playing at all, and I think that was another reason why Dork wanted to play the new version instead. Also because the voice acting was better than just reading, but. I don't know. It maybe made the. I want to say it made the music more special, but then when going through the tracks this morning, I'm like, it's interesting how so many of these tracks kind of floated into the background while I was puzzle solving. So yeah, I don't know. I think the tracks individually are really good and memorable and worth listening to, but when it comes to playing the game, I maybe feel they don't stand out enough.
Yeah, I agree. But I also think and maybe I don't think that they had like forest ambience in the original version. I would guess not. But in the special edition, whenever you wander into the woods or something, like they have some really nice like cricket noises, owl sounds that kind of fade in. And those are I actually really appreciated those moments too, of it just like it being a little bit more quiet, and it makes it feel more like you're on more of a traditional serious pirate adventure instead of a purely comedic one. But also, so I don't know, I actually kind of liked when you're like in the woods and you're like, oh, it like feels like I'm in the woods and this is like kind of nice and I'm like in nature. It's probably really hot on the island and the sun is down. It's that weird like,
boy, is it hot here.
well yeah, and it's like that weird feeling or on Melee Island, it's like that weird feeling where it's like summertime and the sun went down an hour ago and it's still like 80 degrees, but like the sun is down, you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know, I really like the little forest ambience. It's very nice. I like how it trades off between that and the music. It
was a hoot.
It was a hoot. It was hoot and Guybrush was hollering.
As a small aside, Dave, do you have any insight on why he always says, "Oh, it's hot here," and that like it's on like the screen that has the dam on it. And he says it every single time you go there. Oh boy, is it hot here?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
I thought it was like a hint towards a puzzle, but it turned out to just, I mean, unless they're hinting, you need to make something hot, like the gunpowder on the thing. But he kept saying it, and I was like, should I take my shirt off? Should I put a different shirt on? What do you want from me?
I can't answer that one. Well, did you have anything you wanted to say about the music, Dork?
Not really. I just really like the island theme a lot. I've actually been humming it, you know, when like not even playing the game. So that obviously must mean it's good. So yeah, it's good.
And you know what? It's so good. Let's play it a second time. Let's edit that in here a second time. Here it is.
I'm doing that. Well, finally, I before we go into what we're covering next, actually, there's two things left.
You swore.
Yeah, I know. bleep. Now, Dork, you mentioned to me that after playing this, you are interested in the sequels.
Yeah, wow. I can't believe you're going to make me admit this, live right now, like in the podcast. Yes, everyone. Yes, I am interested in playing the sequels. Yes.
The reason I say it, well, I actually am surprised because, you hated the gameplay so much, and I will say it doesn't get better. For Monkey Island 4, it gets a lot worse.
How is the Return one that came out a few years ago?
Oh, that's actually fantastic. Okay, let me just quickly touch on what each of the sequels are. So Ron Gilbert, the creator and head writer of this game, he made Monkey Island 2 before he left LucasArts. And that's basically about Guybrush. He's been the guy who defeated LeChuck for so long that people have stopped caring. So he's like, oh, I got to go find this ancient hidden treasure to get my reputation back up again. And
that sounds amazing.
He's a bit more of a jerk in this one because he's riding high on being popular for so long. And it has one of the most infuriating, weird endings in, almost video game history. I won't give it away, but those who have played Monkey Island 2 know that ending is what the fuck. So he left LucasArts, and a bunch of Monkey Island fans who were working at the company, I believe they started working on Monkey Island 3 in secret, and then they got the go-ahead, and it came out in 97, and it is my second favorite game in the series after the first one. It is fully cell animated. It's like a cartoon. It's the first one with voice acting. It brings back the insult sword fighting in a really fun way. And it tries to retcon the ending of 2. I don't think it succeeds.
Wow.
Now Monkey Island 4 is made using the Grim Fandango engine, so it's in 3D. It was this brief period where they were trying 3D adventure games, and for the most part, they did not work. Grim Fandango is a masterpiece. I'd love to cover it on the podcast in the future, but it is a weird, weird game in terms of how you play it. And my God, so the plot of Monkey Island 4 is that Mealy Island and a lot of the Caribbean is being bought up by an Australian land developer. And I believe he buys the governor's mansion and he ousts Elaine Marley as the governor. So Guybrush wants to fix things. Here's the best part. He has to form a crew again to go to Monkey Island. And he runs across Carla, Otis, and Meatook, who've been stuck on Monkey Island for 10 years.
Oh, dude, I got the canon ending.
Nice.
And they hate his fucking guts.
Well, now it's actually earned, so that's fine.
Yeah. So that's probably the funnest part. The way they've done the sword fighting in 4 is fucking terrible. It's this thing called monkey combat, and it is so excruciating, and it is just, I think it's bad design. I have not heard of a fan that actually likes it, but that's something to look forward to.
Objectively bad, right there.
Fist on table down. Then in Telltale's early days, before they made The Walking Dead, and every game they made after just copied The Walking Dead, they did a 5-episode series called Tales of Monkey Island, which I bought, but I never played. I remember trying the first episode and it didn't click with me, so I just left it, and I've never gone back to it. I kind of want to play through it to be a completionist, but I've just never had that drive to go back and play those. I feel like the fan base is lukewarm on that one. It's not great, it's not terrible. It's just the kind of a middle of the road entry. And then a couple years ago, Ron Gilbert came back and basically created a sequel to Monkey Island 2. There are elements, he references stuff from the other Monkey Island games, but it's basically retconning that it starts from the ending of Monkey Island 2. And and we're going into something funny I brought up in my intro, Return to Monkey Island finally tells you what the secret of Monkey Island is.
Oh yeah.
I never thought about the secret part.
Because that's kind of a joke. The game's called The Secret of Monkey Island, and it turns out really there was no secret of Monkey Island.
I guess I would have thought
secret.
I guess I would have thought like the secret was like, oh, that's where LeChuck was hiding or something. I didn't think it had to be like a big thing.
The secret was the bananas we picked up along the way.
Oh my God, Dave, get out.
but I only played through half of Return. It's really good. Like when it came out, there was a lot of backlash against the art style. Like, the creators were getting harassed, which fucking hell, gamers, can we stop it? But which sucked because I don't like the art style, but it's like that. It's like I just don't like it. I still think it's a great game, and I definitely want to be. It was one of those games where I just, I put it down for like a week when I was halfway through it and just never picked it back up again. So it's one of those where I want to beat it. I definitely want to find out what the secret of Monkey Island is. I've heard from fans that it has a great ending. Like the way they ended it, it was like this game is kind of Ron Gilbert looking back on Monkey Island and his career as a game developer. It kind of has a wistfulness to it. So I not only for you, Dork and Drew, but for our listeners who may think that they want to play Monkey Island and maybe go to the sequels. That's my thoughts on the series as a whole. It's had a fascinating history. But Dork, and Drew as well, after hearing my thoughts about the sequels, do you still want to at least maybe try some of them or go on that journey?
I think me personally, probably not, unless for this podcast. But here's what I will say for the meantime is that I think playing Monkey Island or The Secret of Monkey Island was a little bit annoying, as we talked about, but I still enjoyed it. And I think really what I like about doing this podcast so far is that when we pick a game, like an aspect of the person that picked the game's like character, I think really shines through. And I think that really comes through, especially here for Dave with Secret of Monkey Island, because Dave's a big thinker and Dave likes corny ass jokes. And those are the two things I think that really define this game. So I found it really interesting. But I think on my own time, I got a fucking enough to play. I've been so busy with other games. I had to drop Final Fantasy VII Rebirth for a fucking month, and I'm gonna get spoiled on fucking Twitter.com. So I got enough on my plate. But
that's fair.
This was a cool game.
Fair.
I'll say I probably wouldn't want to do it in my free time. I am interested, but it's one of those things as well where it's like I have literally 1,000 games to play. So, yeah. I mean, perhaps not. I will say, like, the cell-shaded one, I think I have the most interest in 3 because of that. That sounds neat.
Oh, yeah. 3 is fantastic.
But, speaking of, on, like, what Drew just said, Dave, I don't know if this is a compliment or not. I apologize if it's not, but if it is, hey, man, I'm your boy, right? I have to say, when I was playing, I saw a lot of you in Guybrush Threepwood. I was like, this is the origin story of Dave when he was in his 20s.
Back when I had wavy blonde hair.
Yeah, honestly, like literally, I was like, dude, this is just like it's like a self-insert character of Dave. It's what it felt like.
I'll take that. I mean, I have a goofy last name, but I don't have a goofy first name. But hey,
we literally don't even know your last name, so
fair.
It's true.
But well, at the end of these, we usually give final thoughts, and you kind of said it there, but do you both have anything like final you want to add about your time with The Secret of Monkey Island?
I think even though it's short, I think it's going to be pretty memorable. At the very, like, obviously with all of us, with all the inside jokes and stuff, but I think it was really good to be exposed to a genuine point-and-click adventure game. Again, I really like that this podcast is like enough of a motivation to push through like with this kind of stuff. And I think it helps us like round out some of our like gaming knowledge in our head. And I think this can easily be a thing I think back to if I ever do, for example, if I would ever cover the Walking Dead Telltale game, right? I'd be like, I played a point-and-click adventure game. I know the origins of this style and how it progressed. So I appreciate you, Dave, for picking this. for like personal reasons, and how it helped us expand into uncharted waters, so to speak. Get this fucking pirate.
I actually don't get it. But what I have to say is that I didn't actually. I got into it a little bit. We were talking about the fiddle song, but yeah, Tim Schafer worked on this game, and he went on to be a founding member of Double Fine and make Psychonauts and become a huge indie studio to this day that exists to this day. So seeing his one part of his origins, I know he worked on several other LucasArts games before doing that, but yeah, his comedic stylings were very, very, very apparent even in this one of his earliest games that he worked on. And I think that was really cool to see. But also, yeah, like Dork said, like we hadn't played like a point and click adventure game. I hadn't played one that was like made for fucking adults, that was made like to be an entertaining video game. Like I just played fucking Math, whatever the fuck it was. I don't even remember. Yeah. But yeah, that's like for little babies that just like slipped out of the womb. So I'm glad that I got to play like an actual like adventure game. So I am very grateful for this experience. Even if I have personal critiques with Monkey Island, I think it was really cool to experience this genre for the first time.
Ooh. On that note, out of 5 or 10, you know, it's always your preference. What is our score for this game?
Ooh, I think I would give it like a 3 out of 5, 6 out of 10, probably.
That's around where you put MGS. Okay,
Dork?
Dave?
No, it's not. What are you talking about?
You gave MGS like a 3.5, I think.
Did I?
I gave it a 6.
Yeah, I specifically recall, you know, Dave was 3 because he had explained, listen, I like the game, but my rankings. So I would say I'll use like the 5 system. I'll say a solid 2.
Okay. Yeah. For I don't know how you view the rankings, but usually when I give something a 2, it's like I think it's good, but it's just definitely not for me.
Correct. That, you know what? I'm glad you said that, because that's basically how I think this is great, but oh my god, I don't gel with this. Again, it made my brain sad initially. I don't like interacting with this game at all.
I am very happy you came around. I will say that. For me, I would give it a 3 out of 5. I think it's held back viewed through a modern lens. I think the special edition has a lot of issues that the original didn't have. But I still think it's wonderfully written, and I still like a lot of the puzzle design, and it's still very funny. Well, that's our podcast on The Secret of Mike Allen. The only thing left is to go over to Drew, who's going to tell us what game we're going to be covering next.
Yeah, and guess what? I'm gonna run some statistics by you guys. We're gonna do a little retrospective here. Episode 1, Chrono Trigger with Dave. Episode 2, Metal Gear Solid with Dorkax. And Episode 3, Metal Gear Solid with Dorkax. Episode 4... Was Episode 4 the Game of the Year one?
No.
Wait, which one was that?
Pikmin was first.
Episode 4 was me. Episode 5, Game of the Year with Dave. Episode 6, Cathra with Dorkax. I've had 1 episode so far. So guess what? We're going to spend the next 6 months of our lives talking about the Klonoa duology, motherfuckers. We're playing the Klonoa Door to Phantomile and Klonoa 2 Lunatea's Veil, originally released for the first 2 PlayStation systems, but now available in a very convenient modern collection that looks pretty okay by modern standards. And it's going to be the greatest experience of our lives. And we're going to talk about the music for 1 hour each.
I'll just say, I was expecting a turn-based RPG, so I'll take anything. All right, I'm glad it's not that.
And to be fair, I think you could spend hours talking about any game soundtrack.
I could spend hours talking about a lot of game soundtracks. I will say I was originally going to pick Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, but with how the timing for these podcast episodes work out, and the remaster having a revealed release date of late May, I I just don't think that would be that wouldn't lead to any convenience for us, like in any way in terms of playing the original version or getting an episode out at that timing. I don't think that would work out. So I was like, I'll just change my pick. I played the Klonoa games for the first time last summer, and they are freaking awesome. And I think my prediction is that Dorkax will be like, oh, this is like a platformer, and then he'll have his brain will like melt into fucking gook because they're fucking awesome. And then Dave will be like, yeah, this game is like awesome after he plays like one level. But those are my predictions. It'll be awesome. We're going to talk for 6 hours. It'll be a 2-parter. It's going to be the greatest. It's going to be a Drew extravaganza, everybody. Strap in for...
Yep, excited.
Strap in for an epic adventure. Strap in. Strap in
2
for
games.
Klonoa.
2 games!
10 out of 10. Klonoa, rickandmorty.com. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
That was post-game clarity with Dork, Drew, and Dave after the game. Shit.
After the game comes the clarity. Goodbye, everybody.